Hello everyone, my name is Salim and welcome to the Markets Breakdown Analysis for Wednesday, the 29th of November 2023. We'll be breaking down charts on the exact zones where price will close for potential buys or close below for potential sells as well. So usually before I start the recording, I remove all the previous analysis and start from scratch, but sometimes I prefer to keep the exact same analysis posted on a previous session just to showcase how important it is to identify certain zones. For example, it is extremely important to understand how to identify the no trade zone. For example, in this example here, we can see when dropping down to the 4-hour time frame, we can clearly see the no trade zone is much larger than the targets for buys and sells. And yes, to some viewers, this might seem like it's not a clean chart, but you can clearly see how price is ranging within these levels. And let's say we're looking for, yes, we were looking for sales below 187.230. We've had a candle closing below this level, but then the following candle closed bullish, failed to break below the previous hourly low, and then the following one closed bearish. But again, this candle closed small bearish candle. The following one failed to break below this level, and then price started to range on the hourly time frame, eventually retraced and went back into the range. And now you can clearly see how the hourly candles are forming. So it's extremely important to understand how to identify the no trade zone. And now to break down the chart, and actually just a quick review. As we can see, the daily has just been ranging really. You can clearly see that on the 4-hour time frame. You can see on the hourly. But now obviously the daily will be closing weak bearish, respecting the recent daily resistance. So now to look for potential, basically now to break down the chart really. So zooming in and dropping down to the 4-hour time frame, and what we can see here is we have this strong 4-hour support around 187.100. We have the most recent 4-hour resistance around 187.580. Dropping down to the hourly time frame, we have a same level of support. We have a level of resistance around 187.630, but then again we have this range on the hourly. So ideally is to adjust it to this hourly resistance around 187.780. Dropping down to the 30-minute and the 15-minute time frame, we have the same levels as well. So I would say potential buys could be above 187.780, above this hourly range. Potential sells, however, now we need to adjust something here because price is starting to break out of this range below this 4-hour support. Now, since the daily candle is opening soon, we need to allow the new daily candle to have some sort of a range before breaking out the range. So now we're gonna need to go back to the daily. So the daily, the first thing we can see on the left is this previous daily resistance around 186.780, dropping down to the 4-hour time frame. We have this previous 4-hour resistance around 186.870. Looking at the hourly, on the left, what do we see? We have this hourly resistance. Maybe what we could do for potential sells, we could wait for price to break and close below this previous hourly resistance, which that will allow enough range for the daily to form a range. And this is going to be the no trade zone. And now to look for potential buys and going back to the daily. So the daily will be closing bearish. The first thing we can see, we have a daily resistance formed on Monday around 188.450. Dropping down to the 4-hour time frame, we have a 4-hour resistance around 188.290. Dropping down to the hourly time frame, we have an hourly resistance. That's the same thing on the 30-minute and the 50-minute time frame as well. So I'd say the first target for sells, for buys, the first target for buys could potentially be 188.290, targeting this 4-hour resistance. The second target for buys, now let's have a look again. So we have a daily resistance again around 188.470. Drop it down to the 4-hour time frame. We have this 4-hour resistance around 188.580. Zooming in and dropping down to the hourly and hourly resistance. That's the 5-minute resistance. I would say the second target for buys could potentially be 188.570, 580, targeting this hourly range. And now to look for potential sells and going back to the daily. So clearly we've actually mentioned on yesterday's analysis how we could potentially see a continuation on a daily time frame to see these daily candles mirroring these daily bullish candles. And that will potentially allow a strong or a potential weekly resistance to form at this level. knowing prices ranging, knowing that the weekly candle, the current weekly candle tapped into the rejection wick formed on the that was in November 2015 at this level. So to see a weekly resistance to be formed for this week, it would make sense based on a technical analysis. And now to look for potential sells, I'm going back to the daily. We have a daily support around 185.590. Dropping down to the 4-hour time frame, we have a 4-hour support around 186.360. Dropping down to the hourly time frame, looking on the left, what do we see? We have an hourly support that's actually decent support on the 5-minute time frame, and more likely will be the same on the 50-minute time frame. So I'd say the first target for sales could potentially be 186.360, targeting this hourly support. The second target for sales, now again, let's have a look on the daily. So we have a daily support around 185.590, and that's roughly around 80 pip range. Dropping down to the 4-hour time frame, we have a 4-hour support around 185.800. Looking at the hourly, that's the same level of support. More likely will be the same on the 30-minute and the 50-minute time frame. So I would say the second target for sells could potentially be 185.800, targeting the 4-hour support formed on the 22nd of November 2023.
Dominion Markets, your trading sanctuary.